Welcome to episode 26 of the Grocery Guru. We're here with Andrew Grant. Andrew, how are you?
Good morning. Very good, thank you, Darren.
Cool, and I think we're continuing our series of looking at results. So we've looked at Morrisons previously, we've looked at Tesco. It's now our friends at Holborn.
Yeah, you were going to say Stamford Street.
I was.
Getting towards the end of results season. I suppose, those Sainsbury's results, you've read them.
I have.
More of the same, really, that we saw with Tesco and Morrisons. Everybody, all the supermarkets, all the food grocers, doing incredibly well out of COVID, but at a cost.
And that's true. So we're looking at the preliminary results for the 52 weeks ended 6th of March 21. And what was the biggest highlight for you? The COVID cost?
No, I think you're going to touch on that in a second. But for me, it's online. We talked about it in several of these episodes, but online sales have doubled from 8% of their business to 17% of the business. Most importantly, they're now saying that they're profitable online sales. So what the pandemic seems to have done is got all of them over that base cost line of, running trucks and having to pick stuff in stores. You've got a lot of fixed cost there. Yep. They didn't have the volume before to make it profitable. Yep. All of a sudden, it's kicked their online or their home delivery operations into profit, which is good news for, I guess, the shareholders going forward.
That makes sense. So we're saying now that 1 in 5 customers are ordering online. They've managed to make it profitable, so they've got over that hump, whatever that was, 10%, 15%. Okay, all right. The one I do want to raise is the COVID cost, because it's still amazing me. So these guys are saying, I'll just read it out, offset by £485 million worth of direct COVID-19 costs.
Yeah, I mean, their profits are down 39% on the back of that.
Wow.
A huge hit. And just have a look at the amount of Perspex in store and the amount of stickers saying 2 meters apart, and the number of extra security guards. I know when we were shopping during the first lockdown, Sainsbury's were the toughest on the rules.
Right. Okay.
I can remember going in with my other half and being told to stand apart from your own wife in a Sainsbury's. I thought it was slightly over the top at the time.
In our local Thames store, which is quite small, there's a big queue at the front of the store. But what people have realised is you queue at the front of the store, but actually you can go in the back and there's no one there. Huge extra costs. Quite, I don't know, maybe it's the cynical side of me, but if I was the finance director, I think I'd be throwing everything at one-off COVID costs to maybe mask some underperformance elsewhere, but I didn't say that. No, and I certainly won't repeat it. So we've got a statutory loss for Sainsbury's before tax of 261 million. Statutory loss. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of exceptionals in there. I mean, their operating profit, as I said, was hit by that COVID. So, underlying, they're doing incredibly well. And the other thing, actually, if anybody that follows Sainsbury's history or been involved in Sainsbury's history, is a bit like all the other UK supermarkets, they've got a terrible history of acquisitions.
Yes.
Homebase, I mean, Homebase hobbled them for years and years, and they never really did anything with it. They do seem to be making a good fist of Argos.
Well, that's very true. And I remember a conference I was at with Sir Peter Davis, who ran Sainsbury's in probably the late 90s, I think it was. And he stood up on stage talking about acquisitions, and he said, I know the answer's Egypt, but what the hell was the question?
Yes, they did buy a store in Egypt, didn't they? Whatever. But no, again, I think they've just, finally, timing seemed to be perfectly working for them. To take on Argos just before home deliveries go ballistic because of A, technology, and B, obviously COVID accelerating it. Great move moving Argos into Sainsbury's stores so that you click and collect. Massively extended opening hours for Argos at no real cost to them because the supermarket's open anyway. Really convenient for customers. and Argos, a pretty good high street, well-respected brand name. So, yeah, they seem to be, doing lots of good things. I know you chuckled at their new ready meals range, as did I. Maybe some of their choice of branding could be improved.
Yes, I'm just going to flip to that because I think we've got the Stamford Street ready meals. Now I've got a fondness with Stamford Street. We're putting that aside. I get what they're doing. We've got Mary Ann's yogurts and we've got the imperfectly tasty range. Okay, all right. We can see what they're doing. Tesco obviously were first out of the box on doing this type of thing. They're doing it. Maybe it'll work for them too.
Yeah, it should do. And then, so all in all, Morrisons, Tesco, Sainsbury's, you won't really see Asda's figures, but they'll have done equally well. So, the pandemic has been good for the supermarkets, and, they're continuing to rock and roll. I guess one final thing, again, while we're on the subject of Sainsbury's, is what their ex-boss, Justin King's been up to. I don't know if you picked it up.
Well, I noticed something on LinkedIn. I saw a picture of him and then it was a headline, but it went past me. I think you've read it. What was he doing?
Yeah, no, he's jumping on this. We talked back in one of the episodes about 10-minute delivery windows, and I think you were quite shocked. I think you thought it was 10 minutes to place the order. No, 10 minutes to get your order. So no, Justin has invested in Snappy Shopper, which, as I read it, is sort of a middleman between a C-store and a customer. So if you're an independent C-store, you haven't got the clout and the investment of a Tesco or a Sainsbury's to do your own home deliveries. But Just Eat in the restaurant sector, if you're a small Chinese or Indian takeaway or whichever cuisine, Just Eat will pick up the order and deliver it and do all the fulfillment IT clever stuff. That's exactly what Snappy Shopper does. So if you're an independent C-store, your customers can order online through the Snappy Shopper app, and you get your delivery, and it costs either the customer or the shopper, I think, £3 commission.
Okay, so if I want to order 2 pints of milk, some bacon and some eggs for breakfast later this morning, then I just do that for £3.
Yeah, I mean, if that's all you order, it's going to be a high on cost. But I guess given that Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrisons, Asda's home deliveries are everywhere, what's the need to get it from your local C-store? If I want home delivery, my first thought would be one of those big 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Would I think about my little local C-store? I don't know. Obviously, a lot of them have different ranges, more local produce, possibly fresher, maybe. But Justin obviously thinks it's worth investing in. He's put quite a shed load of money into it, his own money, supposedly. So,
well, maybe if it was a specialty Polish convenience store.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, as I said, I mean,
where it wins.
But there's, I know around, there's farm shops with all their own local produce. Maybe they can take, that would be of interest to people. And as you say, specialist Polish or Eastern European supermarkets, of which there are lots, now suddenly have the ability to offer home deliveries.
Interesting. Let me just share a couple of highlights I noticed. I'll read out this statement. We are changing at pace, making bold decisions. I thought that was an odd thing to put in. It was obvious, aren't they? Always moving at pace and always trying to make bold decisions. Why tell us that in their statement?
It's annual report speak, isn't it? You've got to say that. You can't say the opposite. We're slowing down and not doing anything.
No, I just thought it was such an obvious thing to put in. Aren't we always moving at pace? Aren't we always trying to make bold decisions?
But also, every single annual report starts with, "I want to heartily thank my staff and colleagues and everybody." It's just what you expect in an annual report statement.
Okay, all right. Well, let me just highlight this one to you. Changing our ways of working and our supplier relationships will triple our levels of new product innovation to 1,900 products in the year ahead. Now, what does that mean for Sainsbury's and the supplier, that their innovation is going through the roof?
Well, I think that is them finally saying we're going to take M&S on, M&S and Waitrose on their top game. I think Sainsbury's biggest, it's people like Tesco and Asda, their biggest issue is leaking shoppers to Aldi and Lidl. That will affect Sainsbury's shoppers, but I think Sainsbury's have to look over their shoulder at Waitrose and M&S much more maybe than the others.
Yeah.
And of course, what M&S in particular are known for is their food innovation. It's just, phenomenal food innovation. And I think Sainsbury's, are now saying, right, we're going to take them on 1,900 new products a year. Sounds like with all those sort of sub brands you've just mentioned, there's some interesting stuff there.
So maybe for suppliers that are watching, the door's a bit more open for innovation than it was before?
Possibly. I mean, Sainsbury's have had a good record with their new Supplier Academy. I forget what the name of it is, the hot house for suppliers. I've had very good reports of that from people that we've dealt with. But it sounds like they're ramping it up even more. It'll be interesting to see.
Okay. All right. Last couple of highlights. Delivered over 12 million online orders for elderly and vulnerable customers. Fantastic. Okay, 12 million. And the other one is 7.4 million digital Nectar users, up from 4.5 million last year. So another 3 million digital Nectar users.
Yeah, and again, that links in with, doubling of online business. Just like Tesco with Clubcard, their ability to data mine and understand their shoppers even more and target them with, more Stamford Street kitchen food or whatever it is. Yeah, it just shows how, as we've keep banging on about here, shopper insight is, the holy grail of 21st century retailing.
It certainly is. And these guys are getting more and more data every day, particularly.
Absolutely.
All right, Andrew, before we end, your takeaway from all of this on the preliminary results for the 52 weeks ended 6th of March 21 by Sainsbury's. What's your takeaway?
I mean, yeah, really good performance. I feel sorry for them having to lap that performance this year, as we talked about. But every cloud and etc.
Okay, Andrew, thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.